So I'm the executive director for the Center for the Shenandoah Center for Immersive Learning, or what we call SKILL. We're basically a simulation and training lab that everything from live action simulation to augmented and virtual reality technologies. So what if learning were as simple as standing under a waterfall of knowledge, and you couldn't help but be saturated and affected by it? You couldn't help but take it in and drink in the knowledge. That's the kind of learning that comes when you place somebody inside of a simulated experience. You can't help but be affected by the world and the narrative journey that you're placed inside of. That's what we're focusing on here at Shenandoah University. If you've been around Shenandoah, the people here know me more as Santa at Christmas time, you know. But what they may not know is, outside of playing Santa for our holiday gala, I've advised the military on simulations and counterterrorism. The programs here at Shenandoah University have worked with multiple divisions of the State Department, United Nations, corporations, hospitals, a lot of departments, first responder departments. So this is the kind of programming that we're building here at Shenandoah, is to serve many of the entities that you guys actually, ladies and gentlemen, come from. Today, we live in a world of convergence between humanity and technology, where in the past, technology has been something that we've seen as an inhibitor between human-to-human connectivity, that we see our children, they go into their basements and they live there for 8 hours a day, and they're inside of these, but inside of these worlds. So that's a human being relating to artificial intelligence. But what's happening today with the new virtual and augmented reality, and we have a lab here that I invite you to come visit if you'd like. You can either come after at 11 o'clock over to the lab where we're at today, or we can set up another time if you'd like to have a meeting, and I can show you some of the materials we've created and see if there's a way that we might be able to benefit even this initiative. So we're creating greater human-to-human connectivity inside of these digital worlds. So what if instead of teaching a history student about Louis XIV's Enlightenment era, you could put them in the court, and they would have to deal with the historical characters of the time? Or what if, instead of just reading Tom Sawyer, you could put a student inside of the novel experience and let them experience what it might be like to hang out with Huckleberry Finn? Today, we created one of our first experiences that we created here, and something that's gotten us a lot of national awareness, is a project called Atmosphere of Hate, which places an individual inside of a 1960s North Carolina civil rights sit-in. It's a first-person visceral experience. It's something unique that I think it would be useful for you to come experience if you're looking to employ these kinds of first-person experiences in this technology. See, here in education, you know, us professorial types, we like to teach a lot of theory. Well, today, parents and students are expecting universities to prepare you for the job, for the career. And that's different from what universities were originally placed here for. So the simulations that we're building at Shenandoah, and we're doing it across curriculum, and we're learning from the simulations we've done with law enforcement, we're learning from the simulations that we've done from the medical community in order to help people prepare for their careers by placing them in simulated life moments. So that's and as I was saying, we're learning from these entities that require an individual to be a veteran before they step their first day on the job. So I want to talk to you just a little bit about what are the technologies that are available today and that are going to become prevalent in the next 5 years. Well, the first one is something called 360 VR. It's basically a video, except the camera takes 360 degrees around it. So for the watcher, when you put on the headset, you are located inside of that experience, having a visceral learning moment. It's hard to explain if you've never experienced it, which is why I invite you to come over to the lab. So this is, if you've ever seen this image, this is actually the 360 laid out in a flat panorama. Or if you've looked at Facebook where you've got the 360s and you can sort of scroll around, well, I will tell you, scrolling around on that versus putting it inside of a headset where you are in it, they are two completely different experiences. Another technology is what we call augmented reality, and in augmented reality, it's looking through a set of glasses that allow you to see the world, and then augmented over top of that world is digital information. In this situation, you know, he's looking at a heart. As a matter of fact, if you come over to the lab, I can put you inside of a heart. I can blow it up to the size of a house. You can watch what it looks like to see arteries closing or things not opening up. So we're able to simulate the world for our students in very, very, very profound ways. I do not know what that is. Then there's full virtual reality. Full virtual reality locates you inside of an experience. So you're on a virtual stage or in a virtual setting relating to another human being. This is where we see that greater human-to-human connectivity. There's a lot of opportunity for jobs and careers that are going to develop. Dell annual report this past year came out and said their research says that in 2030, 85% of the jobs that will exist haven't been invented yet. Well, and that was quoted to me by a Microsoft executive. I had to go look it up because I didn't believe it. So even if they're 25% off and only 50% of the jobs haven't been invented yet, how do I begin educating people for that? How do I begin preparing people to operate inside of that world? And part of that is thinking about the job opportunities that can exist in there. And there's a huge opportunity for veterans here. I'll get to that in a second. So these are the spaces that, so what you just saw in the last one were people in a headset or in a haptic suit, and now those two individuals, are, I don't know, having a conversation at some, weird social place on the internet. What's neat is that you can alter gender, you can alter race, so perspectives that are going to come out of this training are really significant. Another thing that happens is we gain access to the world of VR. Now, up until now, to participate, it's been a $3,000 drop just to be able to get into the virtual reality experience. But in the last 6 weeks, Facebook turned out the Oculus Go that's $200, and the computer's inside of it, wireless is inside of it. So if you come to the lab, I can show you that. Now, access to these experiences are, it's less than all of our teenagers walking around with these. By doing that, now we can co-locate people with each other from around the world as long as they have a strong enough broadband to push the information. Not only can we have people interact with each other around the world, but we can even view it and comment on it. And then we can record it and archive the experience. So we can build training moments inside of these virtual realities. We can bring people together from around the country. We can bring experts in. And then we can record whether we're building a training experience or whether we're recording the individual inside of the training experience. We can archive these, have the individual review them themselves, or it can be utilized for education for other individuals in the future. So what are the applications? The Shenandoah Center for Immersive Learning is not just about technology. We're looking at immersion from story. So a lot of it happens in role play. For the last 30 years, medical has been leading the world in in simulation and training because of the importance of their individual being a veteran before they step their first day on the job. We're learning from that, and what we've been doing live action simulation for the last 20 years, we're now beginning to put inside of the virtual worlds. Part of that is the development of Roleplay Workforce. So the Roleplay Workforce is an opportunity. We could build experiences for veterans like the one that you saw at the beginning of the movie, but instead of it being a voyeur experience, we can place you inside of the experience, which has an entirely different and visceral response from the individual who's inside of it, from that audience member. Another opportunity, the veterans, is participating in that national role-play workforce. First responders, law enforcement, fire, now corporations, of course, hospitals with standardized patients require role players. And veterans have a skill set that many people have a need for. So one of the things we're working on is trying to create a sort of an Uber for role player app nationally that allows people that need role players to connect with those individuals. So, for example, we just did a simulation with the State Department, and it paid out $180 for 6 hours. So if we were able to get those kinds of jobs to the veterans, they might feel self-worth, but there could be a supplementing of income that comes from that too. We're also building it so that in the next 4 years, that kind of work can be done over the internet. So let's say you're injured and you can't leave the house, or something's happened to your appearance that makes you stand out or not be able to operate in society. In a virtual reality, you can operate and interact, as you can imagine, in a various number of contexts separate from your own world. So we're building these digital worlds here now at Shenandoah. I invite you to come over and look at them. The other thing we could utilize your help as we're trying to create national workforce opportunity for veterans, for elderly, and we invite you to come over and see what we're doing in case we can build anything as far as training-wise for you guys as well.
Thank you very much.